Chapter 359. Yi Chen saw that the grandpa and grandpa had noticed him, so he did not try to hide anymore. He walked out of the mist directly, cupped his hands and said from afar, "You too, I have just entered the Forbidden Zone, so I do not know much about this place. I wonder if I could hitch a ride with you? Take me to a place where I can rest." The Forbidden Zone was way too strange. Without a guide, Yi Chen would not be able to find a place to rest. The young woman saw that Yi Chen was very young, and that his aura was pure and vast, with a hint of sharpness. He did not look like an evil person at all. She said to the elder in a low voice, "Grandpa, should we take him with us? We can ask him to pay for the boat. People who have just entered the Forbidden Zone are all rich." The elder nodded slightly, then said to Yi Chen, "You can board, but you will have to pay 3,000 low-rank soulstones for the ride. What do you think?" Yi Chen's cultivation was a bit strange in his eyes. He should be called a clasping Yuan realm warrior. His Zhen Qi was way too pure. It seemed impossible to call him an astral-reaching realm warrior, since the Zhen Yuan of an astral-reaching realm warrior was extremely powerful. The aura on Yi Chen's body was not even comparable to it, unless he had hidden his aura. Of course, he did not know that Yi Chen's meridians were damaged, and his Zhen Yuan was not even at 5% of its usual level. Plus, it was very complicated and not as pure as usual. But no matter what, Yi Chen was a clasping Yuan realm warrior without a doubt, so he should be able to afford 3,000 low-rank soulstones. All right. Yi Chen agreed right away. 3,000 low-rank soulstones were nothing compared to his entire wealth. "Let's go." The young woman waved her hand. After getting on the boat, Yi Chen realized that the deck was covered with dead beasts, and their pellets had already been taken out. Most of them were rank 3 beasts, and there were not many rank 4 beasts. There was even a rank 5 beast among them. Although he did not know why these people were hunting those beasts, since the pellets of rank 3 and 4 beasts were not that valuable, he did not want to ask too much. He took out 3 small boxes from his storage ring, each of which contained 1,000 low-rank soulstones. He handed them over to the elder. "Here are 3,000 low-rank soulstones, you can count them." After opening the boxes, the old man nodded and put them away. He said, "We'll have to wait for a while before we set sail." "Please wait for a while." "Sure." Yi Chen was not in a hurry and stood aside. Besides the elderly man and the young woman who were clasping Yuan realm warriors, there were also 2 clasping Yuan realm warriors among the dozens of warriors who were hunting beasts in the lake. They were the son and grandson of the elderly man. The rest of them were all at the condensing reality realm, which was equivalent to the inner disciples of a normal martial institution. "Did you really come from outside?" At this time, the young woman walked towards Yi Chen and asked. Yi Chen said, "Yes. Is the outside world fun?" "I've never gone out before," the woman said enviously. "You grew up in the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone?" Yi Chen was surprised. "Yeah, after my great-grandfather fell into the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, he never came out. He then got married and had kids, and built my family." Hearing the young woman, Yi Chen felt a bit sorry for her. He did not know how big the Bewilderment Fog Island was, but no matter how big it was, there should be a limit. Staying on the island for a lifetime without seeing the outside world was undoubtedly a kind of torture. Of course, she had grown up on the island, so she was very unfamiliar with the outside world. Perhaps she did not have high expectations for the outside world, but it was a blessing in disguise. Not wanting the young woman to have high expectations for the outside world, Yi Chen shook his head and said that the outside world was very dangerous, and that he had been chased here. "You're lying. Last time, someone said that the outside world was very big and boundless, with a lot of fun places. As for revenge and whatnot, the Bewilderment Fog Island has them too," the young woman said angrily. Yi Chen forced a smile and touched his nose. "Oh right, what are you hunting low-rank beasts for? These rank 3 and 4 beast pellets do not seem to be worth much, right?" Yi Chen could not help but ask. The young woman glared at Yi Chen and explained, "The natural Yuan Qi in the Forbidden Zone is very thin, and the supply is not enough to meet the demand. Pellets and spirit stones are also very rare, and the more we use, the less we have. Therefore, we hunt the beasts and extract the Yuan Qi from the pellets for our own training." After a long time, the number of high-rank beasts around the island has decreased drastically. So, we have to settle for the next best thing, which is to hunt beasts below rank 5. I see. Yi Chen suddenly understood. The natural yuan qi in the forbidden zone was indeed very thin, not even 30% of the outside world. In this kind of environment, it would be strange if one could train fast. At the front of the ship, the elder took out a head-sized light ball from his storage ring. The light ball shone with an orange light, then gradually dimmed down. The sensory ball is about to lose connection with the sensory tower. Everyone, come up now. Wrapped in Jin Qi, the elder's voice spread out into the water. Soon, human figures jumped out of the water and onto the deck. Some of them were carrying beasts on their shoulders, and were covered in blood. Father, what is wrong with this brat? The one who spoke was the elder's son. He was in his 40s, with a muscular body and a full beard. Before, he had been busy hunting beasts, so he did not have time to pay attention to Yi Chen. Now that he had the time, he finally asked. The elder said, he came from the outside, and has already paid 3,000 low-rank spirit stones. From the outside, should we? The middle-aged man pressed his right hand down. The elder shook his head. No, he is not simple. I do not have the confidence to take him on. Be careful, or I might get killed instead. It is better to be careful. You do not have the confidence to take him on? The middle-aged man froze for a second. The elder was at the peak level of late clasping Yuan realm. If even he did not have the confidence to take him on, then it would be pointless for him to go up. All right, do a head count and get ready to set sail. The elder started to speak. Grandpa, everyone is here. The young man who was in charge of the head count nodded at the elder. Yeah, let's go. The boat turned around and sailed into the fog ocean far away. Through the conversation with the young woman, Yi Chen found out that she was called Zhao Yushuang, and the elder was called Zhao Heng. The light ball in Zhao Heng's hand was a mysterious sensor ball. The gravity of the forbidden zone was chaotic, and the fog ocean was endless. Therefore, the items used to tell directions were completely ineffective. Nobody knew when, but in the center of the forbidden zone, there was a sensor tower built on the island. This sensor tower was similar to a lighthouse. As long as one carried a sensor ball, they would be able to sense the location of the tower within 1,000 miles. But there was a time limit. The longer the time, the weaker the connection between the sensor ball and the tower would be, until the connection was completely lost. For most of the people on the island, not being able to return to the island was a very scary thing. As the boat sailed, the fog around them started to dissipate, until it disappeared completely. From afar, Yi Chen saw a huge island. The whole island had a radius of hundreds of miles, like an upside-down pot covering the lake water. The highest point was more than 10,000 meters high, and the edge was connected to the lake water. Many boats of different sizes were docked on the dock. There were many buildings on the island, similar to the structure of the Snake Island. The island was divided into 9 levels from the bottom to the top. The outermost level was at the bottom, while the 9th level was at the top of the island. A huge sensor tower stood on top of the tower, and on top of the tower was a light ball that looked like a small sun. We have arrived at the island. The elder named Zhao Heng let out a breath. Every time he went out, he would be worried, afraid that he would not be able to come back. Fortunately, everything had been smooth sailing. Grandpa, what about him? He doesn't have an identity tag. Zhao Yushuang suddenly asked Zhao Heng. Hearing her, Zhao Heng seemed to have thought of something and said to Yi Chen, "This is your first time here, so you probably don't understand the rules here. Let me use this chance to tell you a bit, in case you lose your life." Rules? Yi Chen looked at the huge bewilderment fog island and understood. For such a huge island, there must be some rules. Otherwise, it would have been messed up already. There are 3 island leaders, 19 Grand Elders, and 98 Elders. The Elders' power is equivalent to the top astral reaching realm warriors, while the Grand Elders are extreme astral reaching realm warriors. As for the island leaders, they are invincible among the astral reaching realm warriors, and they can easily kill the top astral reaching realm warriors. The whole island is under their rule. Therefore, the rules are set by them. Listen carefully. Zhao Heng cleared his throat and continued, everyone on Bewilderment Fog Island has their own identity token. The identity token is the metal token in my hand. There is a number on it. Zhao Heng took out a palm-sized metal token with a string of numbers written on it. For example, early clasping Yuan Realm martial artists would have to pay 10,000 low-rank soul stones, mid-clasping Yuan Realm martial artists would have to pay 20,000 low-rank soul stones, late-clasping Yuan Realm martial artists would have to pay 30,000 low-rank soul stones, early astral reaching realm martial artists would have to pay 3,000 mid-rank soul stones, mid-astral reaching realm martial artists would have to pay 9,000 mid-rank soul stones, and late astral reaching realm martial artists would have to pay 27,000 mid-rank soul stones, which can be exchanged with low-rank soul stones. The exchange rate is 1 to 40. If you do not have enough soul stones, you will have to join the forces of the Bewilderment Fog Island and work for them. There is no other option. Zhao Yushuang said, do not be reckless. In the past, there were powerful astral reaching realm warriors who came to the island and did not care about the rules. In the end, they were killed by the two masters on the spot, and their bodies were hung on the city gate for 3 days and 3 nights. I got it. Hearing Zhao Heng's words, Yi Chen had a basic understanding of the island's forces. Without exaggeration, if the island were a martial institution, it would be the most powerful rank 7 martial institution, since the rank 6 martial institutions would only have one extreme astral reaching realm warrior. However, there were 19 of them, especially the 3 leaders, who were all invincible among the astral reaching realm warriors. They were probably not far from the Sea of Souls realm. Of course, there were no Sea of Souls realm warriors on the island, so they could not compete with the rank 6 martial institutions. You have understood everything I have said. Zhao Heng could not see through Yi Chen, and was afraid that Yi Chen would cause trouble. If it were not for the fact that he liked him, he would not even bother to remind him. Yeah, thank you for telling me. Yi Chen was indeed grateful. Right now, his battling power was equivalent to a beginner astral reaching realm warrior. Not to mention the masters, he would not be able to handle any astral reaching realm warrior. If he were at his peak, he would not have to worry too much, since he believed that the power of the island would not want to humiliate an extreme astral reaching realm warrior either. Otherwise, there would not be 19 top masters. As long as you understand. Let's go. Zhao Heng let out a breath. He could tell that Yi Chen had a calm temperament, and was not an impulsive person. So, he only said those words to remind him. Chapter 360. Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone had existed for countless years, and no astral reaching expert under the Sea of Soul realm had ever walked out of it. As time went by, the people who fell into the Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone would no longer have any thoughts of leaving. Generation after generation, the population of Bewilderment Fog Island had long since surpassed 10 million. It was like a human colony isolated from the outside world. On the dock outside the island, hundreds of thousands of ships were docked. These ships were only a dozen meters long, while the big ones were more than 1,000 meters long. The biggest ship was like a moving mansion. The guards on both sides of the ship were all at least mid-clasping Yuan realm. There were also dozens of astral reaching experts. In the middle of the ship was a small sensing tower. The sensing ball on the top of the tower flickered like a star. Zhao Yushuang said quietly, "This is the ship of the Elder Group. I heard that many of the Elders are approaching the end of their lifespan, and are frantically searching for elixirs that can increase their lifespan." Elixirs that can increase lifespan? Yi Chen was astonished. He wasn't surprised that so many Elders were approaching the end of their lifespan. No matter how powerful an astral reaching expert was, he could only live for 200 years, not even a day more. Once 200 years old, no matter how powerful one would still turn to dust. However, he had never heard of elixirs that could increase lifespan. It should be known that the lifespan of an ordinary person was limited. For example, although ordinary people could live for more than 100 years, some died early, while others died late. Because of the difference in physical quality, those elixirs that could be bought could only increase their physical quality and allow them to live a bit longer. It wouldn't exceed the limit of ordinary people's lifespan. On the other hand, as long as astral reaching experts didn't encounter any accidents, they could almost live for 200 years. Their physical quality was absolutely not an issue. Elixirs that could increase their lifespan were the real deal. Even a day more would be heaven-defying. The legend of the reversed 9-turn spirit grass has always been passed down in the bewilderment fog forbidden zone. This kind of spirit grass can increase one's lifespan by 9 years, and it also has the effect of strengthening the soul. Therefore, the experts from the outside frequently come here, all for the sake of finding the reversed 9-turn spirit grass. Hearing her, Yi Chen finally understood how so many peak astral reaching experts and extreme astral reaching experts came here. Of course, there were some who had mistakenly entered the forbidden zone, but the majority should have come for the herb. Unfortunately, they were all trapped inside. There was a slight tremor as the boat reached the shore. After getting off the boat, everyone walked towards one of the city gates. 1 level 3 demonic beast core or 1 low-grade spirit stone per person. Do not sneak in, or you will be killed without mercy. There were a lot of bewilderment Fog Island martial artists outside the city gate. The leader was a late clasping Yuan realm martial artist, who was holding a silver long blade. His sharp eyes scanned through the people entering the city. The line moved forward quickly, and it was Zhao Heng's turn. We have 48 people. Here are 48 level 3 demonic beast cores. Zhao Heng handed over a leather bag filled with level 3 demonic beast cores. The cultivator in charge of counting the inner cores opened the leather bag and counted them carefully. Then, he said in a clear voice, "Let them pass." Before entering the city, Zhao Yushuang looked back at Yi Chen. "Where's your identity token?" A bewildering Fog Island martial artist asked. Yi Chen said, "This is my first time coming to Bewilderment Fog Island, so I don't have an identity token. First time here at Bewilderment Fog Island." The person who asked the question was not surprised at all. He said to the leading late clasping Yuan realm warrior, "Captain, this is his first time here." "Got it. Let me see what cultivation he has." That late clasping Yuan realm martial artist walked over with a silver long blade in his hand. After a careful glance, he frowned. Late clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Seems like more than that. Astral reaching realm. Doesn't seem like it either. What cultivation are you at exactly? He asked. Yi Chen had already thought about this before, so he said without hesitation, early astral reaching realm. Astral reaching realm martial artist. Good. Follow me to the steward's hall. We'll get an identity token there. The steward's hall was located in the empty space between the first and second floor, which was very eye-catching. Entering inside, the man asked Yi Chen to wait for a while before stepping into the hall. Soon, he walked out and said to Yi Chen, "Go in, take care." After saying this, he turned around and left. Yi Chen took a deep breath and walked into the hall. There was only one person in the hall, who was sitting on the main seat. He seemed to be in his 50s, with a skinny body and a horse-like face. His eyes shone with a vicious light. Judging from the Zhen Yuan ripple on his body, he was a late astral reaching realm martial artist. "You are at early astral reaching realm. Don't lie to me." His eyes squinted as a dangerous aura spread out from his body. Yi Chen didn't change his expression. "I am indeed at early astral reaching realm." His current Zhen Yuan ripple was not even at early astral reaching realm, so there was not a single flaw in his words. Plus, he purposely hid his cultivation because he didn't want to cause too much trouble. For people who came to the island for the first time, the higher their cultivation, the more spirit stones they would have to pay. If he said that he was at mid-astral reaching realm, who knew if there would be other fees besides 9,000 mid-rank spirit stones? After all, mid-astral reaching realm martial artists were usually very rich, and early astral reaching realm martial artists might have just reached the realm, so they wouldn't be that rich. The middle-aged man wanted to see something from Yi Chen's body, but unfortunately, besides seeing that he was wounded, he couldn't find anything else. "How dare you lie to me? You are obviously at mid-astral reaching realm." The middle-aged man slapped on the armrest and yelled. Yi Chen lowered his head as a cold light flashed through his eyes. He bowed and said, "Sir, you must be joking. My aura right now is not even at early astral reaching realm. How could I be at mid-astral reaching realm?" Why don't I wait for my wounds to recover before coming for the examination? Of course, I will pay 3,000 mid-rank spirit stones first. I have a lot of things to do every day. I don't have time to waste on you. How about this? I don't care if you are at mid-astral reaching realm or early astral reaching realm. Your fee will be half of what an early astral reaching realm warrior would be. How about 4,500 mid-rank spirit stones? The middle-aged man actually didn't think that Yi Chen was at mid-astral reaching realm. He only wanted to trick Yi Chen into paying more spirit stones. The extra 1,500 mid-rank spirit stones would be an extra income. It should be known that the spirit stones in the Forbidden Zone were extremely scarce, and the supply could never meet the demand. Those astral-reaching realm warriors who came to the island for the first time were undoubtedly fat sheep in their eyes. Of course, he wouldn't dare to take all of the extra spirit stones for himself. At most, 20% would be his, since he still had people above him. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to be so brazen. 4,500 mid-rank spirit stones? Yi Chen secretly cursed the man for being too greedy. Of course, he wouldn't agree right away. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how much he would have to pay. Isn't the rule of Bewilderment Fog Island that early astral reaching realm warriors have to pay 3,000 mid-rank spirit stones? Why do I have to pay an extra 1,500? Rules are made by people. If I tell you to pay, then pay. What's with all this nonsense? If you don't pay, your dead body will be hanging on the wall tomorrow. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen said slowly, "All right, I'll pay." Very good. You made the right choice this time. The middle-aged man crossed his arms in front of his chest, looking down at Yi Chen. Taking out 4 boxes with 1,000 mid-rank spirit stones and a pile of 500 mid-rank spirit stones, Yi Chen placed them on the ground. I wonder if you can make an identity tag for me now. What's the rush? I have plenty of tags. The middle-aged man waved his hand, sucking in the boxes and 500 mid-rank spirit stones. Counting the spirit stones, the man nodded. Yeah, 4,500 mid-rank spirit stones. Seems like you're quite rich. Yi Chen cursed inwardly. This man's greed could no longer be described as insatiable. He was clearly a blood-sucking bug that would not let go until he had sucked you dry. Sir, you must be joking. After paying 4,500 mid-rank spirit stones, the remaining mid-rank spirit stones would not even be enough for me to train for a month. Oh yeah. Do you want me to check your storage ring? The middle-aged man chuckled. Isn't this a little too much? A killing intent leaked out of Yi Chen's heart. In fact, if he wanted to kill the man, he would only need 1 green lotus sword chi. Although his Jin Yuan had only recovered by 5%, there were 9 green lotus sword chi in his dantian, which had all been cultivated. With the power of the green lotus sword chi combined with the sword intent, not to mention the middle-aged man, even a top astral reaching realm warrior would not be his opponent. Too much. Haven't you seen what's worse? You'll have to hand over all the spirit stones you've paid, and I won't get a single one. So, you'll have to hand over 3,000 mid-grade spirit stones to me, otherwise, don't even think about getting the identity token. If Yi Chen was at the late astral reaching realm, then he would only ask for 500 mid-rank soul stones at most. He would not dare to ask for more than that, since who knew if the latter would join the Bewilderment Fog Island and go against him in the future. It would not be worth it just for a few soul stones. If the latter were at the peak level of late astral reaching realm, then the man would only follow the rules, and would not ask for more. After all, a peak level late astral reaching realm warrior would be more powerful than him in terms of cultivation. What was even scarier was that the former might be a top astral reaching realm warrior. If his luck was even worse, and the latter turned out to be an extreme astral reaching realm warrior, then he knew without a doubt that his outcome would be death. As for astral reaching paragons, the middle-aged man wouldn't even think about it. In all these years, apart from the 3 island masters, he had never seen an astral reaching paragons appear on Bewilderment Fog Island. This kind of person would be roped in by the island master as soon as they arrived, and would be given the position of vice island master. Yi Chen was considering whether or not he should threaten the former, but he decided to give up on it. The green lotus sword chi was his current life-saving measure, and it would take him a few days to recover. Moreover, his current battle power was too low. If he exposed the Green Lotus Sword Chi with such a low cultivation base, it would be hard to avoid suspicion. If his cultivation base was at the late astral reaching realm, then he would threaten the latter without the slightest hesitation. After all, with his cultivation base, a higher battle power would be normal. Sorry, I can't take out 3,000 mid-rank soul stones. 1,500 at most. Yi Chen was not afraid of the latter checking his storage ring. The most important mid-rank storage ring had already been hidden in the corner of the low-rank storage ring. Without checking for a long time, it would be hard to find. Chapter 361. 2,000 mid-rank soul stones. I know you have it. Take it out, or don't blame me for checking it myself. Then, you won't get a single one. The horse-faced man did not want to push things too far. If the other party risked his life to escape from the Deacon's Hall and attracted the elders of Bewilderment Fog Island, he would most likely not die. After all, he had paid the 3,000 mid-grade spirit stones for his first trip to Bewilderment Fog Island, and had paid an extra 1,500. Yi Chen took out piles of mid-rank soul stones without any expression on his face. It seemed that he really did not have much left. A smile appeared on the middle-aged man's face. It should not be much. An early astral reaching realm warrior can only have this much. All right, here is your identity tag. Leave now. Putting away the mid-rank soul stones, the middle-aged man waved his hand impatiently. Yi Chen took a deep look at the middle-aged man before leaving the assignment hall. On the streets of the first layer of the island, Yi Chen, dressed in blue, walked at a moderate pace. The most important thing is to take care of my body and restore my battle power to its peak. On the island, only the powerful are respected. Without enough power, one can only be exploited. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen quickened his steps and walked toward the restaurant at the end of the street. Sir, would you like to eat or stay? The waiter greeted him. How much is it? Yi Chen asked. 10 low-rank soul stones a day. I'll book it for a month first. Here is the deposit and tip. There were a lot of empty courtyards on the island, but Yi Chen did not want to deal with the island's power, so he planned to stay in the restaurant. Going upstairs, the waiter brought Yi Chen to an empty room and asked at the door, Sir, is there anything else you need? Just give me a table of dishes and a pot of wine. After eating dry food and grilled fish for days, Yi Chen felt bored. All right, please wait a moment. Waiting for the waiter to leave, Yi Chen found the bathroom. There was a hot water switch in the bathroom. Turning it on, hot water flowed down the bamboo pipe and into the bath. After taking off his clothes, Yi Chen jumped into the bathtub. After washing up, the dishes and wine were all served. Most of the dishes were meat, and there were very few vegetarian dishes. After eating and drinking, it was already night time. Deep into the night, thick fog gathered from all directions, drowning Bewilderment Fog Island. There was a difference between day and night for Bewilderment Fog Island. Shutting the door and windows tightly, Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the bed. In order to speed up the recovery of his meridians, Yi Chen took a two-pronged approach. After swallowing a wondrous spirit pill to repair his meridians, he took out the petals of the heavenly demon flower to absorb the medicinal efficacy. Under his inner vision, Yi Chen could clearly see all the meridians in his body. These meridians were divided into main and secondary ones, thick and thin ones. Some were even hidden in the depths of the meridians. If one did not sense them carefully, it would be hard to detect them. Some were even tangled together, with two meridians on one path. It was like a map containing the mysteries of the world. Normally, even the best cultivation technique would not be able to use all the meridians in the body. It would already be amazing to use 70 to 80% of them. Under Yi Chen's control, the medicinal efficacy of the black heavenly demon flower spread towards the damaged meridians, gradually nourishing them. At the same time, the wondrous spirit pill also took effect. 5 days passed in a flash, and Yi Chen's meridians had recovered by 70%. The recovery speed was like a rolling snowball. At the beginning, it was slow, but at the end, it became faster and faster. After all, the amount of Jin Yuan had a great impact on the meridian's recovery. On this day, a hurried knock came from outside the guest room. "What's the matter?" Yi Chen frowned. "Dear guest, the tax collector is here." "Tax collector?" Yi Chen did not understand and said, "Let him in." Creak, the door was pushed open, and a group of martial artists walked in. "You are the guest. It's time to pay the tax." "What tax?" The waiter explained to Yi Chen. "The Bewilderment Fog Island pays the tax once a month. Condensing Reality Realm martial artists pay 1 low-rank soulstone, Clasping Yuan Realm martial artists pay 10 low-rank soulstones, and Astral Reaching Realm martial artists pay 500 low-rank soulstones." Hearing him, Yi Chen sneered inwardly. The power of the Bewilderment Fog Island really treated everyone like sheep in a pen. Every month, they would have to pay a fee to enter and leave the city. Perhaps it was just a drop in the ocean for him, but for those who had lived on the island for a long time, it was a huge pressure. Here. Not wanting to cause any trouble, Yi Chen took out 500 low-rank soul stones and handed them to the leading martial artist. The days passed by one after another. Yi Chen's meridians and injuries had finally recovered completely. After being nourished by the Sky Demon Flower for so many days, Yi Chen's current body quality was far beyond what it was before he entered the Forbidden Zone. Of course, body quality was only body quality, and it was no different from chi power. It was just that his body's toughness had increased a lot, and it was not easy to get injured. Perhaps because he had been injured for too long, his Jin Yuan core had always been suppressed. This time, after recovering, Yi Chen's Jin Yuan surged like never before. "Perhaps I can try to reach the peak of mid-astral reaching realm." The difference between mid-astral reaching realm and the peak of mid-astral reaching realm was the density of the Jin Yuan. Once the Jin Yuan accumulated to the limit, it would be the peak. If one wanted to go further, they would have to make a breakthrough. Holding a mid-rank soul stone in each of his hands, Yi Chen took a deep breath and activated his Jin Yuan, following the route of the Green Lotus Sword spell's 13th level. 1 big cycle. 2 great circulations. 72 big cycles. The Jin Yuan in Yi Chen's body was getting thicker and thicker, surging like the tide. It kept on rising without any sign of exhaustion. The next morning, buzz. The air vibrated, and the surging Jin Yuan spread out in all directions, pushing out everything other than the bed. The whole room was shaking. What's going on? The shaking of the room raised the curiosity of everyone in the restaurant. Inside the bedroom, Yi Chen walked down from the bed and stretched. His whole body let out cracking sounds of bones being squeezed together. Peak of mid-astral reaching realm. Although I can't compare to the astral reaching paragon, I am at least one of the best among the extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Before breaking through, Yi Chen was already able to fight evenly with Shen Tujue, and it was hard to tell who would emerge victorious. Now that his Jin Yuan had nearly doubled, Yi Chen's battle power had reached a whole new level. If he were to face Shen Tujue again, he wouldn't dare to say that he would win for sure, but he would at least be undefeatable. Peng! Shattering the vase in the living room with a punch, Yi Chen faintly smiled and walked out of the room. It's time for revenge. Assignment Hall. Sir, mid-astral reaching realm warriors only need to pay 9,000 mid-rank soul stones. Why do I have to pay 12,000? In the hall, a new astral reaching realm warrior said unhappily. The horse-faced man sneered, "You are at the peak of mid-astral reaching realm. Therefore, you have to pay 3,000 mid-rank soul stones more than normal mid-astral reaching realm warriors." What? You don't want to pay? You better think about the consequences. This is the Bewilderment Fog Island. It's not up to you. He dared to be this arrogant because, besides being a late astral reaching realm warrior himself, there was also a Grand Elder and many elders looking after him. Of course, 80% of the extra soul stones would be given to them, and the remaining 20% would be taken care of by him. He would keep 10% at most. Under the horse-faced man's pressure, the new astral reaching realm warrior had no choice but to give in and hand over 12,000 mid-rank soul stones. But it was not over yet. The horse-faced man continued to ask for 5,000 mid-rank soul stones, as if he would not stop until he squeezed everything out of him. You are too much. The astral reaching realm warrior was furious. You are looking for death. The horse-faced man's body flashed, appearing in front of him within a second. He threw out a palm attack with a horrifying power, causing the air to explode. Pooh! The warrior puked out blood and backed out, his face pale. I have already shown you mercy with this palm attack. Next time, I will not let it go so easily. Lightly landing back on the main seat, the horse-faced man looked down at the warrior. So impressive. Right then, a clear voice was heard from afar. Who is it? The horse-faced man yelled. With a blurry blue shadow, Yi Chen appeared in the hall. It's you. Hey! You are a peak-level mid-astral reaching realm warrior. What a guy! How dare you lie to me? What do you think you deserve? The horse-faced man was shocked at first, then turned furious. Yi Chen said coldly, What crime have I committed? You are the one who is guilty. How dare you? Since you are a peak-level mid-astral reaching realm warrior, you still have to pay 7,500 mid-rank soul stones. Also, my 5,000 mid-rank soul stones cannot be less. Even one less, I will take your life. The horse-faced man wanted to kill. Yi Chen had surprised him too much, and he had a bad feeling about it. If he had to, he would have to kill Yi Chen. Sorry, this time, I am not here to give you the soul stones. I am here to ask for them. 30,000 mid-rank soul stones, not one less. You really have the guts of a leopard. Die. The horse-faced man was furious. He shattered the chair with a palm attack, attacking toward Yi Chen from afar. Boom. Facing the palm attack with his fist, Yi Chen performed his 5-mountain godly fist art, which he had not used for a long time. In terms of the mentality of the earth, Yi Chen was also quite talented. It was as if there was a huge mountain pressing down on his opponent. Ka-la-la. The hall was shattered, and the horse-faced man was blown back, puking out a huge mouthful of blood. How is this possible? He is only at peak-level mid-astral reaching realm. After shattering a wall, the horse-faced man was extremely shocked. Locking his eyes on him, Yi Chen said, 30,000 mid-rank soul stones, are you going to hand it over or not? He had never thought of killing him, since he was a mid-level warrior of Bewilderment Fog Island after all. Killing him would be the same as slapping the island's face, so he had to be careful. In your dreams. Wave-splitting palm. The horse-faced man jumped up from the ground and threw out a palm attack. Water mentality spread out, and a huge palm print slapped toward Yi Chen like a tsunami. Only 5 mountain. Facing the horse-faced man, he did not need to use his sword arts. Yi Chen performed the last movement of the 5-mountain godly fist art, the only 5 mountain. The rich earth mentality spread out, and 5 illusory mountains superimposed on top of each other, violently shattering the huge palm print and pressing the opponent onto the ground. You are dead for sure. I have Grand Elder Sun looking after me. If you offend me, you are dead for sure. The horse-faced man could not move at all, so he yelled. Grand Elder Sun will not save you either. You reap what you sow. Yi Chen did not waste any time and sucked over the man's storage ring. Jin Yuan poured in, and the wealth inside the storage ring was revealed. This guy is really rich. Observing with his mind, there were 6 big boxes of mid-grade spirit stones. Each box contained 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones, a total of 60,000 mid-grade spirit stones. There were also several thousand mid-grade spirit stones scattered around. As for low-grade spirit stones, there were not many. Who dares to cause trouble in the assignment hall? The two's battle had caused quite a commotion, which had attracted the attention of 2 nearby elders. On the island, the status of the elders was extremely prestigious. Each of them was a top astral reaching realm warrior. Chapter 362. Swish. Swish. 2 figures rapidly landed outside the assignment hall. The one on the left had a head full of grizzled hair and a haggard appearance. According to 100 years of age, he was at least 80 or 90 years old. Of course, he was a peak astral reaching expert, and his age was doubled, being about 170 or 80 years old. The one on the right was a middle-aged man with 2 crisscrossed sword scars on the left side of his face, giving him a ferocious appearance. The horse-faced man saw the two and yelled, "Elder Bai, Elder Lu, save me." This man is clearly a peak mid-astral reaching expert, But he lied to me and said he was an early astral reaching expert. He clearly doesn't put bewilderment Fog Island in his eyes. Kill him. A cold light flickered in the haggard Elder Bai's eyes as he yelled at Yi Chen. Who are you? Release Attendant Ma and accept your trial. Elder Bai, why are you wasting words with him? Those who dare to cause trouble on Bewilderment Fog Island will be killed without mercy. The ferocious middle-aged man stared at Yi Chen as if he was looking at a dead man. Peng. The illusory mountain suppressing the horse-faced man shattered, and the shockwave directly caused him to spurt out blood, losing all his battle power. Yi Chen turned around. This man is relying on his status as an attendant to wantonly extort people who come to Bewilderment Fog Island for the first time. How should he be punished? Whether he's guilty or not has nothing to do with you. Obediently surrender, or you'll die. How could the fierce middle-aged man called Elder Lu not know that Attendant Ma was wantonly extorting people who came to Bewilderment Fog Island for the first time? However, he was Grand Elder Sun's subordinate, and 10% of the spirit stones that Attendant Ma extorted was given to him. Therefore, if he said that Attendant Ma wasn't guilty, then he wasn't. If this matter was brought to the Island Lord, there was still Grand Elder Sunday in that case. There's nothing I can do. With a flash of light, a long sword appeared in Yi Chen's left hand, its scabbard simple and unadorned. You dare to take out a weapon before me? Kid, you'll die for sure. A black brilliance curled up, and a weapon also appeared in Elder Lu's hand. It was a black iron rod that was as long as his eyebrows. There were many diamond-shaped patterns on the surface of the iron rod, and as Jin Yuan poured into it, the air around the patterns began to distort, filling the air with pressure. Elder Bai took a step back. Lu Song, make it quick. I know. Lu Song chuckled. His figure flickered, and he instantly appeared in front of Yi Chen. He struck out with his rod like a black dragon coming out of its cave. Ding! The thin tip of the sword blocked Elder Lu's attack, and the 3 walls of the steward's hall suddenly exploded, turning into quicksand. Thud thud thud, Lu Song's feet could not stop the momentum of his retreat. He took 8 steps back in a row, each step causing the ground to crack and cave in. Elder Lu retreated. The middle-aged man, who was lying on the ground, mumbled in disbelief. There were 98 masters on the island, and every one of them was a top astral-reaching realm warrior. Besides the rare extreme astral-reaching realm warriors and astral-reaching paragons, the top astral-reaching realm warriors were the kings. Yi Chen had forced back Master Lu with 1 sword attack, which meant that he was at least a top astral-reaching realm warrior. Impossible. He is obviously a peak-level mid-astral-reaching realm warrior. A week ago, I could kill him with 1 finger. The middle-aged man had a sinister look on his face. He believed that Elder Lu had not used his full strength, and that he was merely warming up. Elder White did not think so. Admittedly, Lu Song hadn't used his best move, and hadn't even used any of his moves. However, how could Yi Chen have? Under normal circumstances, Lu Song was unexpectedly not Yi Chen's opponent. No wonder this kid didn't put them in his eyes. It turned out that he had some tricks up his sleeves. He is a top astral-reaching realm warrior. Lu Song, bring out your peak power. Elder White's expression was grave as his gaze locked onto Yi Chen. He was prepared to join hands with Lu Song to kill Yi Chen in case of any mishap. Kid, you've angered me. Black Sea Raging Shark. When he retreated 9 steps, Lu Song brandished his rod with both hands. The surrounding air was dyed black like a black tide, and his entire body turned into a devouring whirlpool within the tide. The natural Yuan Qi within dozens of li was devoured cleanly, transforming into his battle power. Bang! The rod rumbled out, and the endless tide converged into a rod aura, violently charging towards Yi Chen. In the next moment, a raging shark appeared. Its enormous body carried a frightening power as it leapt up. What a powerful water mentality! The intense attack caused Yi Chen's hair and clothes to flutter. He stood there without moving, and the thunder sword slashed an arc in the void. Rip! The Zhun Yuan raging shark, which was powerful enough to destroy a mountain and split open a canyon, was cut in 2. Sparks flickered on the surface of the cut, and a sizzling sound could be heard. Lu Song's best move was cut apart by a single sword strike, so casually. Elder White sucked in a breath of cold air. If Yi Chen had only defeated Lu Song, he wouldn't have been too surprised. The strength Yi Chen had displayed before was absolutely that of a peak astral reaching expert. And peak astral reaching experts were also divided into strong and weak. Naturally, there would be winners and losers. However, facing Lu Song's strongest move, a killing move, Yi Chen had only used a single sword strike, a sword strike that didn't carry any smoke or fire. Do you still want to continue? Yi Chen didn't use his true power. What a joke. No matter how strong Lu Song was, he was only a peak astral reaching expert, while Yi Chen was a top existence among extreme astral reaching experts. The two were simply not on the same level. If he had to use his best move to deal with Lu Song, then he wouldn't be able to show his face in the outside world. Look, a battle has broken out in Assignment Hall. The walls have been destroyed. Originally, the Assignment Hall was surrounded by high walls, and the situation inside couldn't be seen from the streets. However, the aftermath of the battle between Yi Chen and Lu Song was too powerful, and the walls had turned into quicksand, vanishing without a trace. The martial artists on the streets could see the scene from far away. Aren't the people inside Elder White and Elder Lu? Who is that youngster? Probably a fierce person who has just arrived on Bewilderment Fog Island. Every battle on Bewilderment Fog Island takes place between native experts and outsiders. Hiss. Master Lu's attack was broken just like that. This young man is definitely a powerful character. This time, the Stewardship Hall has kicked a steel board. They could have blackmailed anyone, but they chose to blackmail a suspected extreme astral reaching realm warrior. Isn't that looking for death? He is indeed powerful. However, Bewilderment Fog Island has 3 island masters and 19 grand elders. Confronting them head-on would only result in a miserable death. Many martial artists had gathered on the street in front of Assignment Hall. Among them, there was no lack of astral reaching experts. Everyone gathered together and discussed spiritedly, expressing their opinions. Disperse. City Guard team is here. Right at this moment, groups of martial artists rushed over from both ends of the street. The lowest cultivation base of these martial artists was early astral reaching expert. The captain was a peak mid-astral reaching expert, and the vice-captain was a mid-astral reaching expert. Each group had 20 people, and the total number was more than 100. City Guard team wouldn't be mobilized easily. Normally, it was the patrolling team composed of clasping yuan martial artists that maintained order. Only when something big happened would City Guard team be mobilized. The City Guard team had more than 3,000 members. Right now, these people were clearly not the entire team. It had been several years since the last time City Guard team was mobilized. This was the first time in a few years. All of you, piss off. Under the lead of the 7 captains, hundreds of astral reaching experts majestically gathered and shouted at the crowd to retreat. Go in. Seeing that everyone had arrived, a group of powerful martial artists flew into Assignment Hall. How could Elder White not notice the commotion outside? Turning his head and seeing the City Guard team, he let out a sigh of relief. 2 against 1, he didn't have the confidence to defeat Yi Chen. However, the situation was different now. With more than 100 people attacking Yi Chen at the same time, unless he was an astral reaching paragon, he would die without a doubt. You guys surround Assignment Hall. Elder White ordered. It's Elder White and Elder Lu. The status of elders far surpassed that of City Guard team captains. Receiving the order, the 7 led their respective team members and surrounded Assignment Hall tightly, ready to attack at any time. Retracting his gaze, Elder White said confidently, "It's not too late to surrender. Otherwise, a group attack will kill you on the spot." Hearing these words, Yi Chen smiled indifferently. If it were an extreme astral reaching expert without a powerful movement technique, facing more than 100 astral reaching experts, there was indeed a possibility of him dying. However, Yi Chen's doppelganger movement technique wasn't something an ordinary extreme astral reaching expert could compare with. He was confident that if he used his movement technique with all his strength, he would be able to hit him with 7 or 8 attacks in one go. Moreover, he was confident that he could block 7 or 8 attacks from ordinary astral reaching experts. Of course, Starting an all-out war with Bewilderment Fog Island wasn't his goal. His goal was to become a Grand Elder of Bewilderment Fog Island. Since he was going to survive in Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone for a long time, he had to go with the flow. Unless he didn't want to stay on Bewilderment Fog Island and willingly lost himself in the dense fog of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. What's with such a big formation? Actually, I came to join Bewilderment Fog Island. Putting away the Thunder Sword, Yi Chen and Elder White's gazes met. Join Bewilderment Fog Island? Elder White and the defeated Lu Song's complexion turned unsightly. With their understanding of the island master, if an expert like Yi Chen wanted to join, they wouldn't refuse. Moreover, Yi Chen acted with propriety and didn't kill a single person from Bewilderment Fog Island. The corner of Elder White's mouth twitched, feeling stifled in his heart. Joining Bewilderment Fog Island doesn't require you to injure people. Your actions are very suspicious. You'd better take a trip with us and undergo interrogation. At that time, whether or not the island master will allow you to join Bewilderment Fog Island will be decided. As long as he brought Yi Chen away, Elder White was confident that Grand Elder Sun would dispose of him. At that time, whether it was black or white, it would be up to them. Sorry, I won't go with you. Attendant Ma's injury is his own fault. I was just defending myself. Moreover, when I join the Bewilderment Fog Island, I will be a Grand Elder. Do you think that a Grand Elder needs to be investigated by you? Yi Chen had already prepared two options. He could either become a Grand Elder or leave Bewilderment Fog Island. The environment of Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone allowed him to not fear astral-reaching paragons. As long as he escaped 1,000 li away, who would dare to chase after him? 90% of his mental power was restricted in the dense fog, and his line of sight was even narrower, ranging from several meters to several dozen meters. It could be said that even a Sea of Soul Realm expert would find it hard to chase after him after entering Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Do you think you can become a Grand Elder just because you want to? Big words. Several li away, an aged voice resounded. Grand Elder Sun. Elder White and the horse-faced man's faces lit up. Chapter 363. Yi Chen didn't need to turn around to look. In his soul power perception, he could see a grey-robed old man flying down from the middle of the island. His extreme speed didn't give rise to the slightest air-piercing sound, as if he was the wind itself. Not only did the flowing air not obstruct him, it even pushed him forward. Extreme wind mentality. Being able to become extreme astral reaching experts, they indeed have their own way. In Yi Chen's knowledge, apart from Shentujue, other extreme astral reaching experts were either close to the limit or had already reached it. Of course, Shentujue had condensed a martial soul embryo, and his battle power was a notch higher than ordinary extreme astral reaching experts. His absolute power and willpower could make up for the disparity in mentality. Without a sound, the grey-robed old man called Grand Elder Sun appeared in the sky above the assignment hall. You're the one who injured Attendant Ma. Grand Elder Sun coldly looked down at Yi Chen. Raising his head, Yi Chen replied, You didn't teach him well. That's why he was injured. Too arrogant. The city guard members were dumbstruck. Grand Elder Sun was so angry that he started laughing. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he said, What a good didn't teach him well. I'd like to see what makes you so arrogant. A silver long spear appeared in his hand. Grand Elder Sun's body tilted as he charged down from the sky, thrusting his spear forward. The air in front of him exploded, as if a black hole had been pierced through it. Fast. Astonishingly fast. From the moment the silver long spear appeared to the moment it shot towards Yi Chen, only a few seconds had passed. Many people didn't even have the time to shift their gazes. Ding. He was fast, but Yi Chen was even faster. Unsheathing the destruction sword, it directly pointed at the tip of the silver long spear. Without any deviation, it was as light as the wind and clouds, as fast as a dream. The two seemed to be exchanging blows, but the destructive power was frightening. The enormous assignment hall was instantly razed to the ground, erased from Bewilderment Fog Island. The surrounding city guard members all spurted out blood as they rapidly retreated, their faces filled with shock. So fast. He can actually keep up with my spear speed. Grand Elder Sun was gobsmacked. He mainly cultivated wind mentality, and each of his movements was excessively fast. However, under such a sudden situation, Yi Chen was still able to block his spear attack with all his strength, and seemed to still have energy to spare. In terms of the concept of wind, this person is the first person I have ever seen. However, compared to my speed, he is still lacking. The concept of speed is pure speed, without any impurities. But, the concept of wind contains speed, but it is not pure enough. As soon as they clashed, Grand Elder Sun's combat strength and characteristics were revealed. Your sword speed is pretty fast. Take my 9 flowing wind spear. Shio, shio, shio. Originally, Grand Elder Sun's attacks didn't make any sound, but now that his spear speed had reached its peak, the sound could no longer be eliminated. The fine piercing sound was extremely ear-piercing. In an instant, 3 spear strikes were launched, the third and second spear bursting forth at almost the same time. It seemed as if only one spear had been launched. 4 swift swords. Ding, 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 dang. The first 3 sword attacks cancelled out Grand Elder Sun's spear attack. The 4th sword attack was thrown out before Grand Elder Sun could react, swiftly landing on his protective Jin Yuan. Puff. His protective Jin Yuan was shattered, and Grand Elder Sun's face turned pale. Blood leaked out from the corner of his mouth as he was blown back. The 4 swift swords had completely countered the 9 flowing wind spear. In front of the 4 swift swords, the 9 flowing wind spear could only launch 3 spear attacks. He didn't even have the time to use the 4th spear attack, because the 4 swift swords were even faster and more coordinated than him. One more sword attack would be redundant, and one less sword attack would not be able to increase the sword speed and power to the peak. Grand Elder Sun lost. Elder Bai and Lu Song shook their heads, their faces blank. Damn it! How could he be faster than me? The faster the sword, the weaker its power would be. Therefore, Grand Elder Sun had only suffered a light injury, which wouldn't affect his battle power. However, in terms of speed, which he was most proud of, he had completely lost to Yi Chen, which made him extremely angry. Who? Die. Grand Elder Sun stomped on the ground, creating a deep gully. Grand Elder Sun soared into the sky, gathering the mentality of wind and the mentality of metal on his silver spear. The 2 mentalities complemented each other, turning the spear into an all-conquering, all-piercing attack. Sun Yan, stay your hand. An earthen yellow Jin Yuan giant hand pressed Grand Elder Sun back. Admittedly, part of the reason was that Grand Elder Sun hadn't finished accumulating power. However, an extreme astral reaching expert's casual attack could heavily injure a peak astral reaching expert. Even if he hadn't finished accumulating power, he shouldn't have been so easily suppressed. What a precise grasp of timing. The Jin Yuan giant hand suppressed Grand Elder Sun just as his spear was about to erupt, saving me a lot of strength. Yi Chen didn't need to think to know that the island master of Bewilderment Fog Island had appeared. Only an astral reaching paragon could easily suppress an extreme astral reaching expert. The air distorted, and a figure appeared 30 steps away from Yi Chen. He was wearing a yellow robe, and his hands were behind his back. His yellow skin seemed quite special, and the Jin Yuan fluctuations within his body were deeply concealed. If one carefully sensed it, they would feel an inexplicable horror, as if a dormant volcano was about to erupt and burn everything. Sub-Island Master Wang, Grand Elder Sun didn't know what to say. The yellow-faced middle-aged man waved his hand. You don't need to say anything. Go back first. I'll settle this matter. Everyone else, return to your positions. Yes. The city guards withdrew in an orderly manner. Grand Elder Sun sighed inwardly. With Sub-Island Master Wang's words, he clearly didn't intend to make things difficult for Yi Chen. Otherwise, why would he let them go? Yes, I'll take my leave. Grand Elder Sun didn't say anything else, turning around and flying towards his residence. Seeing that Grand Elder Sun had left, Elder White and Lu Song could only leave as well. One could well imagine the gloominess in their hearts. In a short while, only 3 people remained in the flattened assignment hall: Sub-Island Master Wang, Yi Chen, and the heavily injured horse-faced middle-aged man. What are you going to do? Sub-Island Master Wang looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen could feel the pressure coming from the other party's body. Putting away the destruction sword, he said, I wonder if Bewilderment Fog Island can accommodate me. You want to join Bewilderment Fog Island? Sub-Island Master Wang had actually guessed Yi Chen's thoughts. Not killing Attendant Ma and the others was either because he was soft-hearted or because he had some misgivings. That's right. Sub-Island Master Wang sized up Yi Chen. Your strength has undoubtedly reached the level of a Grand Elder, and our Bewilderment Fog Island is different from the sects. We don't have any rules. Come to the conference hall tomorrow. The Island Master will personally appoint you as the 20th Grand Elder of Bewilderment Fog Island. Finished speaking, Sub-Island Master Wang directly left. Scary person. The other party's words and actions were swift and decisive. Although he didn't speak much, the pressure he exuded was much scarier than a person who spoke 100 sentences. The horse-faced middle-aged man originally hoped that Sub-Island Master Wang could teach Yi Chen a lesson. Seeing this result, his face turned ashen as he looked at Yi Chen, trembling in fear. I'll accept your spirit stones. Yi Chen didn't even look at the horse-faced middle-aged man as he turned around and walked down the street. There were many martial artists coming and going on the street in an endless stream. Zhao Yushuang, Zhao Heng, and the rest had just returned from hunting with a bountiful harvest. The assignment hall is gone, Zhao Yushuang said in surprise. No, there was a great battle here. Zhao Heng saw some clues. Great battle? Who dares to tear down the assignment hall? Any astral-reaching expert under Sea of Soul Realm will have to accept Bewilderment Fog Island's management. The one who spoke was Zhao Heng's son, a bearded middle-aged man. Zhao Heng said, why do you care so much? The outside world is unimaginably vast. Experts are as common as clouds. Perhaps there really are astral-reaching experts who can contend against Bewilderment Fog Island. Don't judge the unknown with our eyes. Zhao Yushuang changed the topic. I wonder how Yi Chen is doing. Attendant Ma of the assignment hall is a blood-sucking bug. He's killed a lot of foreign experts. Fortunately, we didn't see his corpse hanging on the city gate. He should have settled down. That's not necessarily true. The corpses hanging on the city gate are all brazen people who didn't obey Bewilderment Fog Island's management. Some people who obeyed the management and were quite wealthy were killed. They wouldn't be hung on the city gate. Otherwise, there would be less profit. The bearded middle-aged man retorted. Zhao Yushuang glared at her father. All right, let's go back. This time's harvest was quite bountiful, comparable to several previous harvests. Let's go back and celebrate. On the morning of the second day, Yi Chen walked out of the restaurant and headed towards the peak of Bewilderment Fog Island. Bewilderment Fog Island had 9 floors in total. Every time one entered a city, one had to pay an entrance fee. The first floor's fee was 1 low-grade spirit stone, the second floor's fee was 4, the third floor's fee was 7, the fourth floor's fee was 10, the fifth floor's fee was 13, and the ninth floor's fee was 25. Walking all the way to the peak, Yi Chen paid a total of 117 low-grade spirit stones. Of course, the first floor had its own identity token, and the second floor had its own identity token. Those with the second floor's identity token didn't need to pay the first floor's entrance fee. Otherwise, just the entrance fee alone would be an unbearable expense, unless one didn't leave the city for a long time. Yi Chen didn't care about this little bit of low-grade spirit stones. Next time, he wouldn't have to pay. Entering the 9th floor city, Yi Chen directly walked towards the Bewilderment Fog Palace at the peak of Bewilderment Fog Island. Halt, or you'll be killed without mercy. The martial artist guarding the palace blocked Yi Chen's path. It's Sub-Island Master Wang who told me to see Island Master. Do you have proof? At this moment, Sub-Island Master Wang walked out from inside. Let him in. Yes. Following half a step behind Sub-Island Master Wang, Yi Chen observed his surroundings. The materials used to construct the Bewilderment Fog Palace were quite ordinary, but its appearance was quite extravagant. Island Master is a bit overbearing. Be careful with your words, Sub-Island Master Wang reminded. Yi Chen blanked for a moment before saying, many thanks. Soon, The two passed through the plaza and arrived outside the conference hall. Wait a moment. Sub-Island Master Wang stepped inside. On the main seat of the conference hall sat a black-robed old man. Different from ordinary old men, his body was tall and sturdy like a bear. His palms were like palm leaf fans, and his knuckles were like small chicken eggs, containing a frightening power. Island Master, he's here. Sub-Island Master Wang sat on the main seat on the left, facing a white-robed old man. Below the two were 19 astral reaching experts with different appearances. Grand Elder Sun was astonishingly among them. "Ian, come in." The black-robed old man's voice resounded outside the conference hall. Hearing these words, Yi Chen walked in. "You're Yi Chen?" The black-robed old man squinted his eyes. "Right. Apologize to Grand Elder Sun, and I won't pursue yesterday's matter," the black-robed old man said indifferently. Chapter 364. Yi Chen turned his head and glanced at Grand Elder Sunday. The latter revealed a faint smile and didn't look sideways, nor did he look at Yi Chen. "You're right. Grand Elder Sun fought with me and suffered some light injuries. I can compensate you with 10,000 mid-grade spirit stones. How about it, Grand Elder Sun?" Yi Chen's words were beyond everyone's expectations. No matter how good Grand Elder Sun's self-restraint was, he couldn't help but fly into a rage. "En." The black-robed old man clearly didn't expect Yi Chen to say these words. His brows twitched. "So, you refuse to apologize? Think about the consequences." "I came here after thinking about the consequences. I wonder if there's a place for me, Yi Chen, on Bewilderment Fog Island. I think Island Lord doesn't think I'll apologize, right?" "Hihi, you're quite courageous." The black-robed old man smiled and stood up. Wrist-thick dark blue electric snakes burst out of his body, creating crackling sounds. The aura of an astral-reaching paragon instantly filled the entire hall, violently surging towards Yi Chen. Ka. The hall was, after all, constructed with ordinary materials. How could it withstand the black-robed old man's aura? Cracks spread out on the stone pillars, the ground, and the surrounding walls. With his long black hair fluttering in the wind, Yi Chen stood motionlessly at the center of the hall, allowing the aura to batter his body. If the black-robed old man's aura was like a tide, a raging thunder, then Yi Chen's aura was like a black reef, a long sword, condensed but not unleashed. Formidable. Worthy of being the expert who lightly injured Grand Elder Sunday. Although Island Lord's aura isn't much stronger than an extreme astral reaching expert's, he has a powerful martial will amplification. Ordinary extreme astral reaching experts can't withstand it, yet his expression doesn't change. Some of the Grand Elders exchanged Jin Yuan transmissions. Greater success Sword Intent Realm, power surpassing perfection Sword Intent. The white-robed middle-aged man opposite Sub-Island Master Wang had a pensive expression. Abruptly, the black-robed old man's aura completely dissipated, as if it was just an illusion. "Very good, you have the qualifications to become a Grand Elder. This is a Grand Elder's token. Take it." Swish. A black token shot towards Yi Chen. Reaching out to grab the token, Yi Chen asked, "What are the duties of a Grand Elder?" "Bewilderment Fog Island is very free. What you need to do is manage your own area well. Of course, you can arrange for people to manage it. I don't have any other duties for now. If there are, I will inform you. As for the Doyen's residence, it will be next to Doyen Sunday. There is a relatively large vacancy there." The black-robed old man sat down again and said unhurriedly. Next door to Grand Elder Sunday, Yi Chen and Grand Elder Sun looked at each other and saw the hostility in each other's eyes. "Hehe, interesting." Among the elders, a charming middle-aged woman curled her lips. Yi Chen's arrival had added a trace of vitality to Bewilderment Fog Island. She believed that no one under the Sea of Soul Realm could leave Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Therefore, there would be a lot of internal struggles in the future. Although it was said to be next door to Grand Elder Sun, the two residences were actually dozens of li apart. The 10-li perimeter residence was completed within a week. What a joke! The builders were all condensing reality and clasping Yuan realm martial artists, numbering more than 500. The construction speed was inconceivably fast, almost a complete change in 2 hours. Of course, Yi Chen would have to pay his own salary. Condensing reality martial artists would get 10 low-grade spirit stones a day, while clasping Yuan realm martial artists would get 50 low-grade spirit stones a day. Yi Chen estimated that it would be completed in 10 days. 1 day earlier, the salary would increase by 10%, and 3 days earlier, it would be 30%. I have the Grand Elder's residence, but I don't have many subordinates. I can't do everything myself, right? There were all kinds of people on Bewilderment Fog Island. Some were from South Rudra region, some were from island countries, and some were from other regions. These people naturally didn't dare to go against Bewilderment Fog Island, but they weren't that friendly with each other. Moreover, Bewilderment Fog Island didn't forbid fighting, as long as it didn't damage the buildings or disturb too many people. However, this standard was too vague. Some people liked to watch fights, while others didn't. Therefore, when it was necessary, Bewilderment Fog Island's forces would have to come out and mediate. Although the status of the elders is not as high as the Grand Elders, they don't take orders from the Grand Elders. However, there are 3 or 4 elders who have expressed their goodwill to me. Under the elders are the attendants of the duty hall and the captains of the guards. I have to take a few of them as subordinates. Bewilderment Fog Island was too chaotic. In fact, the 3 island masters had never thought about making the island orderly. Decades of peaceful life were always so boring. How could it be done without conflicts? Have you heard? Bewilderment Fog Island has a new Grand Elder. He's very young, about the same age as my brother. I also heard that this new Grand Elder gave Grand Elder Sun a show of strength before becoming a Grand Elder. A lot of people saw it, right? Is that so? He seems quite powerful. There were very few clothing and jewelry stores on Bewilderment Fog Island. After all, this place was isolated from the rest of the world, and raw materials were not easy to find. Apart from most of them being produced on Bewilderment Fog Island, some had to be found at the bottom of the lake around the island, which consumed a lot of manpower and resources. This led to the high price of ordinary goods on Bewilderment Fog Island, which was dozens or even hundreds of times more expensive than the outside world. Even so, which girl didn't like beautiful clothes? Therefore, the female clothing stores were always very popular. Inside a large clothing store, a few girls in their 20s were gathered together, talking and laughing. "You're talking about that new Grand Elder?" Zhao Yushuang asked. "Yeah. Yushuang, you still don't know. She goes hunting with her grandpa all day long. How could she have time to pay attention to these things? Yushuang, it's not that I want to nag you, but you should also get married. There are relatively few women on Bewilderment Fog Island, so finding a good one is too easy. Look at us, we don't have to do anything every day, and we can spend spirit stone pellets like crazy. We can buy whatever clothes we want, unlike you, who can't even buy one in half a year." Exactly. If you want to find someone, it's best to find a powerful clasping Yuan martial artist. Ordinary clasping Yuan martial artists don't even have enough spirit stones for their own cultivation. If you can marry an astral-reaching martial artist, that would be your fortune. Zhao Yushuang curled her lips. She had grown up with these 2 sisters, but they were all married. Their husbands were peak-clasping Yuan martial artists, and one of them was even married to an early astral-reaching martial artist. However, these people were all in their 40s, almost the same age as her father. She couldn't help but feel a bit disgusted. "Miss, this dress costs 3 low-grade spirit stones and 5 spirit stone pellets. 10 spirit stone pellets were equivalent to 1 low-grade spirit stone. On Bewilderment Fog Island, the lowest form of currency was spirit stone pellets. There was no silver or gold, because silver was basically useless here. It couldn't be eaten, nor could it be used for cultivation. Spirit stone pellets were intentionally made. A low-grade spirit stone was cut into 10 pieces, and they would become spirit stone pellets. However, the spirit stone pellets needed to be sealed with special methods. Otherwise, after a long time, the spirit stone yuan qi inside would gradually dissipate, turning into a useless stone. Of course, demonic beast pellets could also be used as currency. A rank 3 demonic beast pellet was equivalent to 1 low-grade spirit stone, and a rank 4 demonic beast pellet was equivalent to 10 low-grade spirit stones. If one felt that it was not worth it, they could go to a pill shop to exchange. Sometimes, a high-grade rank 3 demonic beast pellet could be exchanged for 2 or 3 low-grade spirit stones. Here. Last time, she had earned 3,000 low-grade spirit stones from Yi Chen, which was almost several months of income for the Zhao family. Zhao Yushuang still had some spirit stones in her hands. Yushuang, wearing clothes that cost a few spirit stones each is too shabby. How about this one? I'll give it to you. Right at this moment, a middle-aged man in his 40s walked in. He went straight to the luxurious clothes rack and picked up a luxurious piece of clothing. Seeing a big customer, the shopkeeper said with a face full of smiles, "Good eyesight. The main material of this piece of clothing is 100-year spirit silk from 10,000 meters deep in the Star Regional Lake. Not only is it beautiful and elegant, it is also resistant to fire and water. Even ordinary clasping yuan martial artists would not be able to break it in one go." Zhao Yushuang creased her brows. The man was an early astral reaching expert in his 50s. His bones were thick, and his body was a bit short. He had been pursuing her for several months. "Shopkeeper, how many spirit stones is this piece of clothing? You are a big customer, so I'll give you a 20% discount. 800 low-grade spirit stones. The original price of this piece of clothing was only 900 low-grade spirit stones. With a 20% discount, it should be 720. However, big customers were meant to be exploited. How could the shopkeeper not understand this logic? Very cheap, I'll take it." Zhao Yushuang bit her lips. "Thank you for your kindness, but I cannot accept it." "Why?" "I have no intention of marrying for the time being. I have been chasing you for several months. Which astral reaching expert could do what I did? Yushuang, if you marry me, your Zhao family won't have to go out hunting every day. Although I, Li Dao, am not a top-notch rich person, I have a lot of low-grade spirit stones. The Star Regional Lake was bottomless, and powerful beasts usually lived in the deepest part. Clasping yuan martial artists could dive 10,000 meters deep, while astral reaching experts could dive tens of thousands of meters deep. They could casually kill a 6th or 7th grade beast and earn a lot of spirit stones. Therefore, astral reaching experts rarely lacked low-grade spirit stones. Only mid-grade spirit stones were a bit lacking. Fortunately, Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was not a barren land. On the island, under the lake, there were also a lot of spirit veins. Although the supply could not meet the demand, it could still be maintained. "Sorry, I will go back first." Zhao Yushuang did not dare to offend him, so she lowered her head and prepared to leave. Humph. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. "I have already given you face. If you don't want it, don't blame me." Blocking in front of Zhao Yushuang, the muscular middle-aged man had an unkind expression. The rules of Bewilderment Fog Island were very chaotic, and he was not afraid of people competing with him. After all, powerful astral reaching experts were usually old and had women and children. He had women and children in the outside world, but after being trapped in Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone for dozens of years, he had long wanted to marry again. "What do you want?" Zhao Yushuang's expression changed. "What do I want? Naturally, I want you to obediently follow me." As he spoke, he grabbed Zhao Yushuang's arm and forcefully dragged her out of the shop, heading towards his own residence. On the street, Yi Chen was about to leave the island to investigate the situation around and see if there was any way to leave Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. "Help!" Faintly, he heard a woman's cry for help. It was very familiar. "It's her." Creasing his brows, Yi Chen followed the voice. Swish. The distance of several li was covered in an instant. Seeing Zhao Yushuang being carried by an early astral reaching expert, Yi Chen did not need to think to know what had happened. Bewilderment Fog Island is really chaotic. Shaking his head, Yi Chen waved his palm, slapping the man back to the ground. Chapter 365. Who is it? Yi Chen's palm strike contained a hard and a soft power, forcibly separating Zhao Yushuang and the robust middle-aged man. Of course, it was the soft power that acted on Zhao Yushuang's body. As for the robust middle-aged man, he was directly forced back by the hard power, his face filled with shock. Walking over step by step, Yi Chen's gaze turned cold as he spat out a single word, "Scram." "Who are you? Do you know that I'm Elder Tai's subordinate?" The robust middle-aged man was extremely apprehensive of Yi Chen's strength. Although he was an early astral reaching expert, to be able to casually slap him to the ground, one had to be at least a mid-astral reaching expert. However, an ordinary mid-astral reaching expert couldn't forcibly separate the two without injuring the other. Those who dared to do so had to have overwhelming strength. Therefore, he could only threaten the other with his backer, hoping that Yi Chen would back off. Humph! Without speaking any more nonsense, Yi Chen waved his right hand, sending a surging Zhenyuan stream flying. He then revealed the Grand Elder's token and warned, "Next time, I'll take your dog life." "You, what? Grand Elder's token?" The robust middle-aged man's eyes widened as his gaze fell on the Grand Elder's token in Yi Chen's hand. On Bewilderment Fog Island, the top were the 3 island masters, followed by the Grand Elders, and then the Elders. Using an Elder to threaten a Grand Elder was simply asking to die. The robust middle-aged man was terrified, fearing that Yi Chen would kill him out of anger. Hearing that he wouldn't be killed, he promptly said, "Yes, Li Dao, scram at once." "What? You want to scram without compensation?" Putting away the Grand Elder's token, Yi Chen said indifferently, "I'll pay 10,000 low-grade spirit stones. No, 30,000 low-grade spirit stones." Although he didn't lack low-grade spirit stones, it was because he usually didn't use low-grade spirit stones for cultivation. Low-grade spirit stones were his currency. Apart from mid-grade spirit stones, he had 70 to 80,000 low-grade spirit stones. Moreover, as an astral reaching expert, he could earn them at any time. Therefore, he dared to say that he had a lot of low-grade spirit stones. Yi Chen said, 30,000 isn't enough. Hand over 50,000 low-grade spirit stones, and you can scram." 50,000? All right, I'll compensate you. Li Dao hesitated for a while, then reluctantly took out 5 big boxes. Each box contained 10,000 low-grade spirit stones, exactly 50,000. After Li Dao left, Yi Chen turned his head and looked at Zhao Yushuang. "All the low-grade spirit stones here are yours." "All mine?" Zhao Yushuang was still in shock. How did Yi Chen become a senior elder of Bewilderment Fog Island in just a dozen days? In her impression, the position of the Grand Elder was below the 3 of them and above millions of people. They held the power of life and death in their hands. "You're the new elder?" Zhao Yushuang couldn't help but ask cautiously. Yi Chen nodded. "It's a long story. Let's talk about it some other time." After saying that, Yi Chen walked towards the city gate. No wonder Yushuang isn't in a hurry to get married. It turns out she knows the new Grand Elder. What a young elder. He has both power and money. If you marry him, you won't have to worry for the rest of your life. Zhao Yushuang's friends were very envious. A few hundred li away from Bewilderment Fog Island, a figure was floating in the air. The sensory ball is indeed magical. It can sense something from so far away. I don't have to worry about getting lost in the fog. In his slender palm was a light ball that was emitting a yellow radiance. Moreover, by injecting his mental power into it, Yi Chen could easily sense the direction of Bewilderment Fog Island. The connection between the sensory ball and the sensory pagoda is 1,000 li. The sensory pagoda is at the center of Bewilderment Fog Island. It's about 200 li away from the edge of the island. In other words, I can't go more than 800 li away from Bewilderment Fog Island. Otherwise, the sensory ball will lose its effect. I haven't reached the limit yet. Keep going. Holding the sensory ball in his hand, Yi Chen went deeper into the fog. 300 li. 700 li. 750 li. As the distance increased, the color of the sensory ball gradually turned red. Now, it was a faint orange color, a warning of danger. Almost there. Yi Chen no longer flew in a straight line. Instead, he flew around the island. "Hey, Yi Chen, After traveling for about 3,000 li, Yi Chen ran into the only woman among the Grand Elders, Liu Mai. "It's Grand Elder Liu. Why are you here?" Yi Chen greeted. Liu Mai brushed her hair and smiled, "Same as you, to see if there's any way to leave Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. I don't want to stay here for the rest of my life." "So that's how it is." Yi Chen understood. Liu Mai seemed to be in her 30s or 40s. According to the 200 years lifespan of an astral reaching expert, she wouldn't be older than 70, and very likely not even 50. She was far from reaching the limit of an astral reaching expert's lifespan. Therefore, it was impossible for her to enter Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone for the reverse 9-turn spirit grass. Naturally, she would think of a way to leave. "Do you have any clues?" Liu Mai asked. Yi Chen shook his head. Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone is very strange. Not only does it restrict the transmission of spirit power, it can't lock onto anything in the dense fog. If one flew in a straight line, it would be easy to leave Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. For example, Yi Chen's soul power had a range of several dozen li. Then, as long as he locked onto a certain area with his soul power, he would fly over and continue flying in a straight line. In this way, he would be able to smoothly leave. However, Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone wasn't that simple. Clearly, he had locked onto a small area, but once he reached it, he would discover a huge deviation. In other words, he might think he had locked onto something, but in fact, he hadn't. Liu Mai understood Yi Chen's meaning. She had tried this method before, but it didn't have any effect. "Seems like if I don't find an effective method, I might stay here for the rest of my life." Liu Mai revealed a bitter smile. "There's always a chance of survival in this world. There will be a way." Yi Chen wouldn't give up so easily. "Ian, I'll go back first. You continue." Liu Mai hoped that Yi Chen would be able to find a way out, but subconsciously, she didn't think that Yi Chen could do it. It should be known that she had stayed in Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone for 5 years, and had tried all sorts of methods. She had even gotten lost in the dense fog several times, but she still had no clue. After Liu Mai left, Yi Chen's brows creased. As he had said, there was always a chance of survival in this world. For Sea of Soul Realm experts to be able to smoothly leave, they must have fulfilled that condition. "My soul power is only restricted by 10%. This is my advantage. I'll definitely find a way." Compared to other astral reaching experts, Yi Chen's chances of leaving were countless times higher. So, he definitely had a way. As dusk approached, the fog was getting thicker and thicker. "I originally thought I could leave from the first layer of sky, stunning sky. However, this Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone also shrouds stunning sky. Fortunately, I sensed something was wrong and immediately stopped moving. Otherwise, I might not have been able to return to Bewilderment Fog Island." The deeper one went into Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone, the more frightening it became. Yi Chen guessed that the second layer of sky, Extreme Void, was also shrouded in Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone. Otherwise, Sea of Soul Realm experts wouldn't have such a taboo around it and wouldn't easily enter. "It's getting dark. Let's go back first." Unable to find a way for the time being, Yi Chen had no choice but to return to Bewilderment Fog Island. Day after day passed. Yi Chen would leave Bewilderment Fog Island every day, searching for a way out. On this day, an attendant came to report. "You want me to oversee Bewilderment Fog Ship tomorrow?" Yi Chen said. "Yes." The deacon who came to report nodded. "Got it." Bewilderment Fog Ship was the ship Yi Chen had seen when he first arrived. Every time it went out to explore, 3 Grand Elders would be chosen to oversee it. This time, it was Yi Chen and 2 other Grand Elders' turn. On the morning of the next day, Yi Chen arrived at the pier. Grand Elder Yi. On the 1,000-meter-long ship, Liu Mai and an old Grand Elder Chen were standing on the deck. The one speaking was Liu Mai. Yi Chen chuckled, then flew up. "What a coincidence." Liu Mai said, "Yeah. Bewilderment Fog Ship sets sail once a month. You're new, so you're also included." "So that's how it is." At this moment, Grand Elder Chen said, "Grand Elder Yi, although there isn't any danger in overseeing the Bewilderment Fog Ship, we still can't be careless. During a voyage more than 10 years ago, the entire ship mysteriously disappeared, including the 3 Grand Elders overseeing it. So, we have to be fully prepared. The entire ship disappeared. This was Yi Chen's first time hearing about this. Liu Mai said solemnly, "That's right. I heard about this when I first arrived. Until now, the bewilderment fog forbidden zone is still a mystery. No one knows where the missing people went." With all the members present, bewilderment fog ship set off. The small-sized sensor pagoda on bewilderment fog ship had a wider sensing range than ordinary sensor balls. It could reach 3,000 li. Of course, the safe distance was usually 2,800 li. Any further and it would be more dangerous. Hualala. The waves on the lake surged. The 1,000-meter-long bewilderment fog ship moved forward at a speed of 100 li per hour. On the deck, Yi Chen took out the sensor ball. It had lost its connection with bewilderment fog island. "We're 1,500 li away. Fortunately, there's a small-sized sensor pagoda on bewilderment fog ship." Putting away the sensor ball, Yi Chen released his soul power to observe the surroundings. Gulp. Vaguely, Yi Chen heard a strange sound. Gulp. Gulp. The sound became more and more hurried, and everyone on the ship could hear it. Grand Elder Chen walked over. "Be careful. It's a rank 8 demonic beast, bewilderment fog beast. This kind of demonic beast doesn't exist in the outside world. Moreover, under normal circumstances, it won't appear on the water. Only when bewilderment fog ship moves out will it follow us and launch a fierce attack." Was it attracted by the small-sized sensor pagoda? Yi Chen asked. "More or less. It's coming up." Boom. Grand Elder Chen's voice had just faded when a huge wave soared into the sky. At the same time, a huge black shadow appeared in the dense fog, moving toward the ship at a high speed. Courting death. Grand Elder Chen took out a silver light mace and threw out a heavy blow. Peng. On the surface of the lake, a gale rose, and a shockwave spread out. Yi Chen stretched out both of his hands and created a Jin Yuan wall, isolating the shockwave. Liu Mai walked out of the cabin and said with a frown, "Every time we go out, we'll be attacked by the bewilderment fog beast. How troublesome." Roar. The bewilderment fog beast seemed to be injured as it twisted the water crazily. Even the ship was greatly affected. The bow of the ship turned around and kept shaking. Horizontal mountain strike. Grand Elder Chen also roared. Rousing his Jin Yuan, he chopped down with the silver light mace. The dense fog split open, and everyone saw the true body of the bewilderment fog beast. It was a huge demonic beast that looked like a cow, yet not a cow. Above its head, there was white fog rising in spirals. After receiving Grand Elder Chen's full power strike, one of the horns on its head broke, and it was forcibly sent flying. So powerful. This bewilderment fog beast's battle strength is at least at the level of peak astral reaching experts, and its defense is similar to extreme astral reaching experts. It's extremely hard to kill. Chapter 366. Demonic beasts were inferior to human martial artists in terms of agility and reflexes. However, demonic beasts' defense far surpassed that of humans. Adding their powerful vitality, an attack that could injure an extreme astral reaching expert might not be able to injure a bewilderment fog beast. Grand Elder Chen, do you need our help? Yi Chen looked at the other party. Grand Elder Chen smiled. Although this old man is old, I can still handle a bewilderment fog beast. You two don't need to do anything. I'll play with it. Grand Elder Chen was in high spirits. It was no wonder. As a Grand Elder, it was impossible for him to exchange pointers whenever he wanted. Even if he did, he would stop at the right time. How could he be as happy as now? Bang! The lake water parted as Grand Elder Chen charged straight out, clashing with the bewilderment fog beast. A moment later, Grand Elder Chen returned, his clothes dyed in blood. Not bad, straightforward. Grand Elder Yi, you don't know, but overseeing the ship is a job we look forward to. Yi Chen said, aren't you afraid that we'll also disappear mysteriously? To be honest, I'd like to know what made them disappear. Grand Elder Chen didn't seem to care. Liu Mai nodded, I'm also curious. After sailing for 2,500 li, the ship began to circle around the island. Of the 30,000 li bewilderment fog forbidden zone, they could only explore 5 to 6,000 li in the center. There are so many bewilderment fog island. It's only been 5 to 6,000 li in the center of the forbidden zone. Grand Elder Chen praised, formidable. No wonder Grand Elder Sun suffered in your hands. I'm still far from it. If I encounter an island master, I'll have to flee as well. Yi Chen's heart moved as he mentioned the matter of the 3 island masters. Hearing him, Grand Elder Chen said, actually, the 3 island masters are nothing special. Do you know why their battle power surpasses ours? Is it because of their martial will? Liu Mai interrupted. No. Grand Elder Chen shook his head. In terms of martial will, we're more or less the same. Even if we condense a martial soul embryo, we can't be that much stronger. The reason why the 3 island masters surpass us is because they have upper-grade artifacts. An upper-grade artifact can increase their attack power by 70 to 80%, while a mid-grade artifact can increase it by 30 to 40% at most. Attack power increase by 70 to 80%. An astral reaching expert can display the might of an upper-grade artifact. Yi Chen asked doubtfully. Grand Elder Chen explained, putting aside low-grade artifacts, mid-grade and upper-grade artifacts both require Jin Yuan to activate. At clasping Yuan realm, because the body is filled with Jin Qi, even a mid-grade artifact can increase one's attack power by 30 to 40%. A clasping Yuan martial artist's attack power is clearly incomparable to an astral reaching expert's attack power by 30 to 40%. However, after entering the astral reaching realm, there is no such problem. Be it an astral reaching expert or a Sea of Soul realm expert, they all use Jin Yuan. Therefore, with an upper-grade artifact, an astral reaching expert can activate 50% of its power, directly increasing their attack power by 70 to 80%. In a battle of the same level, they would be practically invincible and unstoppable. Yi Chen faintly nodded. Indeed, one side could increase attack power by 30 to 40%, while the other side could increase attack power by 70 to 80%. How could they fight? As long as they were hit, their protective Jin Yuan would shatter for sure. What kind of upper-grade artifacts do the 3 island masters have? Do they have any defensive upper-grade artifacts? After these days of interaction, Yi Chen and Grand Elder Chen had a pretty good relationship, so he couldn't help but ask. Sub-Island Master Wang has a pair of Earth Attribute upper-grade gloves. Sub-Island Master Kui has an upper-grade blade. As for Island Master, his upper-grade artifact is a pair of Thunder Attribute iron hammers. Its might is quite powerful, even above the other 2. But, I don't know if they have any upper-grade artifacts. After pausing for a moment, Grand Elder Chen continued, if my guess is correct, the 3 island masters have no intention of going out. At least, before advancing to the Sea of Soul realm, they won't be in a hurry to go out. Upper-grade artifacts are absolutely rare objects in the true spirit continent. If they go out, they will have to face the pressure of Sea of Soul realm experts. After all, many Sea of Soul realm experts don't even have an upper-grade artifact. If they encounter an even better upper-grade artifact, and the opponent is an astral reaching expert, they will certainly make a move to snatch it. Hearing Grand Elder Chen's words, Yi Chen understood why the 3 island masters were unrivaled in the astral reaching realm. Upper-grade artifacts could increase attack power by 70 to 80%. One could well imagine that an upper-grade artifact could also increase defense by 70 to 80%. With the 2 superimposed together, who among astral reaching experts could contend against them? Unless the opponent also had an upper-grade artifact, they could only flee. Fortunately, I don't have an upper-grade artifact. Otherwise, it would be troublesome to go out. Liu Mai joked. Yi Chen smiled. As an extreme astral reaching expert, there was no one who didn't yearn for an upper-grade artifact. Even if they couldn't use it in ordinary times, it would still be a trump card at a crucial moment. The night gradually deepened, and the fog became so dense that one couldn't even see their own fingers. Only the light ball on the small sensing tower flickered with light. On the deck, The clasping Yuan martial artists on shift were constantly paying attention to the sensing tower. As soon as an orange-red light appeared, they would immediately move in, lest they lose contact with the island. Splash! Splash! The lake water surged, and ripples appeared one after another. It was unknown whether it was Yi Chen's misconception, but bewilderment fog ship accelerated. It should be known that there was no wind in the forbidden zone, and the ship's speed was fixed. Therefore, its speed could only be slow, and not fast. Could someone have changed their speed? Yi Chen creased his brows. As time passed, his misconception turned into reality. Bewilderment fog ship had indeed accelerated, and it was getting faster and faster. From 100 li per hour, it increased to 110 li, 130 li, 160 li, and then 200 li. What's going on? In a short hour, bewilderment fog ship's speed had increased to such a degree. And this was only because the ship was huge, which made it difficult to perceive its speed. Pushing open the cabin door, Yi Chen arrived on the deck. Releasing his soul power, Yi Chen noticed that there were huge arcs above the lake water, extending for who knew how many li this is. Yi Chen pinched his chin. Soon after, he seemed to have thought of something. It's a whirlpool, an incomparably huge whirlpool. If a whirlpool was large enough, the spiral arms would extend for a very long distance. According to the thickness of the spiral arms above the lake water, Yi Chen estimated that the whirlpool ahead was at least 30 li in diameter. A 30 li whirlpool was simply a devouring black hole. Any object that approached it would be devoured, and the devouring energy it produced would also suck in objects in the air. Quickly turn the ship around, Yi Chen shouted. The one steering the ship was a clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He didn't have a soul power as terrifying as Yi Chen's. Moreover, he had never encountered such a situation before. He didn't know what was going on, but when he saw Yi Chen's ice-cold pupils, he subconsciously turned the steering wheel inward. The ship was huge, and changing direction wasn't an easy thing to do. Moreover, the entire ship seemed to be somewhat out of control, and was being dragged forward. Grand Elder Yi, we can't change direction. You continue to steer the ship. Making a prompt decision, Yi Chen flew up and arrived at the right side of bewilderment fog. Infused with Zhen Yuan, he slowly pushed out. Creak. The ship gradually turned around, emitting a sound of being overwhelmed. At this moment, Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai walked out. Grand Elder Yi, what happened? Grand Elder Chen asked. Yi Chen said, there's a huge whirlpool ahead, and the ship is heading in that direction. What? The two were greatly shocked. The three of us worked together to change the ship's direction. Hopefully, we can leave the range of the whirlpool. Without the ship, it was unknown whether they could return to Bewilderment Fog Island. Every year, many astral-reaching experts would be trapped to death in Bewilderment Fog. Back then, they had also arrived at Bewilderment Fog Island by chance. With the three of them working together, the effect was much better. One was in charge of activating Zhen Yuan to protect the ship, one was in charge of breaking the water flow and guiding the ship, and one was in charge of exerting force on the ship. Rumble. Abruptly, the ship uncontrollably slid sideways. Several li to the right of the ship, a huge whirlpool gradually formed. From 1 li, it became 2 li, 3 li, 5 li. It was as if it was changing with every breath. Not good, another whirlpool has appeared. Yi Chen exerted force with both his arms. With a turn, the entire ship soared into the sky. Then, he operated his Zhen Yuan to resist the suction of the whirlpool. The three of them were like three flies beside a black hole, flapping their wings with all their might. Unfortunately, the whirlpool was getting bigger and bigger. In a short while, it had expanded to 30 to 40 li in size. It was pitch black inside, and the bottom couldn't be seen. The three of them and the ship were right above the whirlpool. Grand Elder Yi, abandon Bewilderment Fog Ship and escape. The suction was getting stronger and stronger. Grand Elder Chen gave up on the idea of dragging the ship back. Helpless, Yi Chen nodded. The whirlpool of this Bewilderment Fog Forbidden Zone was incomparably frightening. The suction it produced could even suck in peak astral reaching experts. Although the three of them were powerful, they would still be sucked in after a long time. They wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. Just as they were about to let go of the ship, a white mist tornado suddenly rushed out of the whirlpool, directly wrapping the three of them and the ship inside. Huff huff huff. The intense whirlpool made Yi Chen lose control, and his body involuntarily revolved around the eye of the tornado. This mist tornado is not an ordinary tornado. It's actually formed from pure yuan qi. Pure yuan qi was incomparably powerful. Forming a tornado with a diameter of several dozen li was simply invincible, unless someone could break it in one strike. At this moment, Yi Chen naturally didn't have the strength to do so. It might have been an instant, or it might have been a long time. The three of them completely lost contact with the outside world. The small sensing pagoda on Bewilderment Fogship was also thoroughly extinguished, on the verge of collapse. Thanks to these two, I finally know how Bewilderment Fogship and the three Grand Elders disappeared a dozen years ago. Yi Chen smiled bitterly. This time, his soul power was restricted by 90%. His mental power simply couldn't radiate out, and his Jin Yuan was also suppressed within his body. His entire body drifted along with the waves, sinking into the darkness within the darkness. Yeah, something happened to Bewilderment Fogship. Bewilderment Fog Island, Bewilderment Fog Palace. The black-robed old man noticed that the sensing pagoda was flashing with an orange radiance. It was a sign that something had happened to the small sensing pagoda. Chapter 367. Rumble. Bewilderment Fogship was smashed to pieces. Many clasping yuan martial artists were bleeding from the corners of their mouths, apparently injured. Where is this? Everyone raised their heads and looked around. They discovered that they were in a wasteland. The wasteland was dark, and their line of sight was no more than 50 meters. Fortunately, their mental power was not restricted, and they could explore more than 10 kilometers away. Are we at the bottom of the lake? Liu Mai looked at Yi Chen and Grand Elder Chen in astonishment. Grand Elder Chen said in a low voice, Star Regional Lake is immeasurably deep. We might be tens of thousands of meters away from the surface. Grand Elder Yi, what do you think? I don't know for now. But, it's better to be careful. For some reason, Yi Chen felt very stifled, as if something extremely dangerous was about to happen. His breathing gradually became heavier. Yi Chen's tone made Liu Mai and Grand Elder Chen turn serious. Among them, Yi Chen was the strongest, and thus had the most authority. What should we do now? Liu Mai asked. Yi Chen said, let's investigate this place first. Grand Elder Chen nodded and said loudly, everyone, follow us. Hurry up. With the three Grand Elders leading us, we'll be much safer. The ship was enormous. There were more than 30 astral reaching experts and hundreds of clasping yuan martial artists on board. Hearing Grand Elder Chen's voice, these people felt a bit more at ease. With 3 extreme astral reaching experts, as long as there weren't any rank 9 demonic beasts, they would be safe. The hundreds of people were divided into 3 groups. The first group consisted of Yi Chen and the other 2, the second group consisted of more than 30 astral reaching experts, and the third group consisted of hundreds of clasping yuan martial artists. Under Yi Chen's command, the clasping yuan experts were divided into more than 10 groups of 20 people each, moving forward in an orderly manner. The ruins were desolate. White smoke rose from the ground, as if a huge volcano was brewing below. The white smoke was actually water vapor. In front of us is a stone forest. Every rock is like a mountain, a steep mountain. Grand Elder Chen was shocked. Using his soul power, he sensed that there were huge rocks 7 to 8 miles away. These rocks were 300 to 400 meters wide and thousands of meters tall. They were releasing a faint gray halo, as if they were glowing, which made them look spectacular. Yi Chen's soul power range was several times greater than Grand Elder Chen's, so he had already known about it. However, he felt that the stone forest was very dangerous, extremely dangerous, so he didn't say anything. Should we go in and check? Liu Mai and Grand Elder Chen looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen thought for a moment, then said, this stone forest is not simple. It's best not to go in for now. Let's finish exploring the other areas first. Alright, then let's go around this stone forest. The group moved to the left in a grandiose fashion. The stone forest was too big, and it stretched for countless miles. After several hours, Yi Chen discovered that he couldn't see the end of it at all, so there was no point in taking a detour. Wah. Just at this moment, the cries of an infant that seemed to have been magnified countless times rang out. In this desolate area, it was so strange that it made one's hair stand on end. Scared me. It's the fog beast. Grand Elder Chen was shocked at first, but then a smile appeared on his face. Although the beasts were powerful, it was only for warriors below the extreme astral reaching realm. The three of them could easily take on 2 or more beasts, especially Yi Chen, who had the highest attacking power. It would be no problem for him to take on 3 or 4 beasts at once, so there was nothing to be afraid of. However, the next second, Grand Elder Chen froze. The cries of countless babies rang out incessantly, and it was extremely noisy. It was estimated that there were dozens or even hundreds of beasts roaring at the same time. So many beasts. Not good. Run. Yi Chen was the first to react. His voice was wrapped with his Jin Yuan and poured into everyone's ears. Run. Without any thoughts, everyone flew away in despair. If there were around 10 beasts, the 3 of them would still be able to fight for a while and slowly kill them. But if there were 20, they would have to run for their lives. And right now, there were definitely more than 100 of them. Any wave of attacks would be enough to kill them all. Shoo. 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 Yi Chen and the other 2 were the fastest. They shot out for miles within a blink of an eye, while the rest of them were left far behind. They all wished they could grow more legs and run as fast as they could. At the edge of the stone forest, countless huge beasts that looked like cows but were not cows jumped into the sky. Between their horns, there was a thick white fog. With one glance, one could see that there were more than 100 or 200 of them. There were at least 500 of them. In the middle of them were 5 beasts that were wrapped in fog, which were obviously more powerful than the normal ones. Woo! 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 With a sharp sonic boom, the 500 beasts with red eyes chased after Yi Chen and the others at an extreme speed. That thick leather armor of theirs brought out sparks from the friction with the air. After a couple of breaths, the beasts were less than 3 miles away from them. The beasts in front of them slowed down a bit. Their mouths moved, and in the next second, beams of white light shot out, slicing through the air. One round of attacks. Hundreds of clasping Yuan realm warriors had been killed, and more than half of the 30 astral reaching realm warriors had been killed. Only a couple of astral reaching realm warriors with the fastest reactions were not injured. However, it was only 1 round of attacks from the beasts. So horrifying. Are we going to die here? The astral reaching realm warrior who was running at the front had a pale face, his lips trembling. Yi Chen had been paying attention to the situation behind them. Seeing that the number of beasts was even more than he had imagined, he could not help but chuckle bitterly. 500 beasts, not to mention him, even an astral reaching realm invincible warrior would be blown into ashes. Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai's sensing range was not as far as Yi Chen's. They thought that there were only 100 beasts, but it was already horrifying enough. In a way, there was no difference between 500 beasts and 100 beasts. 1 round of attacks would be enough to kill them. Luckily, the beast's speed is not as fast as ours. Liu Mai said with relief. A couple of screams were heard. Besides Yi Chen and the other 2, the others had all died. Faster. Let's get rid of the beast. Yi Chen pushed his separating shadow flying art with all of his power, his body turning blurry. Yeah. If we do not get rid of them, we can only run for our lives. Grand Elder Chen nodded. His Jin Yuan burst out, shooting out a silver light mark behind him. Liu Mai's speed was even faster than Grand Elder Chen's. Her body flashed once, and it seemed like there were 7 or 8 human shadows flying at the same time. She was not that much slower than Yi Chen. After a while, Yi Chen could no longer sense the beasts. So close. This place is the nest of the beast. Grand Elder Chen breathed heavily, cold sweat appearing on his forehead. We can't stop yet. The beasts were only 40 to 50 miles away. Yi Chen said. Yeah, let's keep going. The 3 did not slow down at all, looking like 3 beams of weak light. Wah, wah, wah. Before they could let out a breath, the beasts' roars were heard in front of them. Although there were not as many as the beasts behind them, there were still dozens of them. There were wolves in front and tigers behind. The three were in a desperate situation. "Let's go," Yi Chen yelled as the greenwood sword appeared in his hand. "As long as we don't get hit by 5 attacks at the same time, we will have the chance to survive. Let's go." Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai took out their weapons as well, their faces filled with killing intent. Dozens of miles only took a couple of breaths' time. The three were only a couple of miles away from the beasts. Boom, 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 boom. The beasts opened their mouths, shooting out burning white light beams. Crack. Dozens of light beams interweaved with each other, moving as fast as lightning. No matter how good Yi Chen's flying art was, it would be hard for him to dodge all of them. After being hit by 3 light beams, his protective Jinyuan was broken, and his speed dropped drastically. Liu Mai's flying art was not weaker than Yi Chen's, but she was also hit by 3 light beams. As for Grand Elder Chen, he was hit by 4 light beams, blood leaking out from the corner of his mouth. "I will restrict their movements. You guys try your best to clear a path." Yi Chen held up his greenwood sword, waving out the 7th movement of his green lotus sword art. The air was frozen, and layers of green lotuses spread out, turning into sword chi and attacking the beasts' bodies. Shoo, the sword chi contained a horrifying sword intent, which cut through the beast's defense. Unfortunately, this kind of wound was just like a drizzle to the beasts. The only thing that made them angry was that within the coverage of the sword attack, their movements had been slowed down. Mountain attack. Grand Elder Chen held his silver light rapier and threw out an attack. 2 beasts in front of him were blown away while puking out blood. Wind whip art. With a couple of popping sounds, a long black shadow flashed through, and at least 5 or 6 beasts were whipped away. Judging on the effect, it was a couple of times better than Grand Elder Chen's. Of course, the attacking power was a lot weaker, since Liu Mai's attack was more focused on whipping away the enemies, not killing them. Green Lotus Mountain opening. Between the two, a 100-meter-long sword light fell down from the sky, leaving a black mark in the air before killing in the middle of all the beasts. Swoosh. 1 beast was cut into pieces, and a couple of others were wounded. More of them were blown away by the aftershock of the sword light. Charge! Yi Chen yelled. At this moment, the 3 of them pushed their speed to their limits. They passed through the empty area in the middle of the beasts, and were about to escape. Whoa! An even louder roar was heard. Behind the beasts, in front of the 3, a huge beast covered in fog appeared out of nowhere. It opened its mouth, and a beam of white light with a hint of purple shot out, covering the 3 of them within. "We can't avoid it anymore." Green Lotus light. Yi Chen raised his sword to block out the attack. On the blade of his sword, there was a couple of meters long green lotus. He did not dare to make the green lotus bigger, since it would mean that the defense would be weakened, and it might not be able to block out this attack. Boom! The air was shaking, and the light seemed to have stopped time. Soon, the 3 of them were drowned in it. Pooh! Pooh! Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai puked out blood as they backed out. They slid for dozens of miles before returning to the front of the beasts. Yi Chen followed right behind them, still holding up his sword to block out the attack. "Oh no! This beast's power is way more powerful than normal beasts. I'm afraid only astral-reaching realm paragons would be able to handle it." Grand Elder Chen forced a smile. The green lotus had been shattered, but Yi Chen was not wounded at all. However, the situation in front of them was too bad. The way in front of them had been cut off, and there were still 500 beasts chasing after them. Without any surprises, they would not be able to escape death. They had never thought that there would be such a dangerous place under the Forbidden Zone. Chapter 368. Just when the few of them had killed their way through and were forced back, the beasts behind them had finally caught up to dozens of miles away. The cries of the babies were heard throughout the whole space, which made Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai feel a little scared. On the other hand, Yi Chen was expressionless, his eyes cold and serious. The more dangerous the situation was, the calmer one needed to be. All of the negative emotions had to be cut down, not letting them waver. Sword artists were both extreme in terms of attacking power and willpower. Wanting to shatter a sword artist's willpower, it would be impossible to only threaten them with death. What should we do? Liu Mai asked anxiously. Yi Chen scanned the surroundings. If we run in other directions, we might run into more beasts. It is even more impossible to go up, since there is no sky here. Therefore, the only way left is underground. Underground? Indeed. The beasts have huge bodies, so their speed would be very slow. As long as we run deep enough, we will be safe. The underground was not like the sky. First of all, the spirit power would be mostly cancelled out by the endless rocks. Secondly, traveling underground would consume a lot of energy, and it would obviously not last long. Therefore, as long as the three ran underground, the chance of survival was still very high. Without any hesitation, the three dove down, shooting towards the underground. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Of course, the beasts would not let Yi Chen and the other two leave. Burning white light beams shot out one after another, interweaving into a death net. Wherever they reached, a huge pit would appear on the ground, which was hundreds of meters deep. It brushed past the protective Jinyuan layer, twisting it rapidly. Boom! Being hit by 4 light beams at the same time, Yi Chen started bleeding from all over his body. His body was blown away, while Liu Mai and Grand Elder Chen were almost killed. Go down now. Less than a few hundred meters from the ground, Yi Chen's body exploded, and countless shadows spread out like a flood. Under the cover of the shadows, the three flashed once and disappeared into the ground. Rumble. The second wave of attacks arrived, and the ground was full of holes. It was as if a thick layer of the ground had been lifted off. The powerful vibrations reached deep into the ground, causing the three to be slightly wounded again. Follow me. The piercing power of the Green Lotus Jinyuan was far greater than any other Jinyuan. It was like an incomparably sharp sword, piercing through the mud in front of it, creating an unobstructed path. On the other hand, Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai were much slower than Yi Chen. The two clearly saw the advantage of the Green Lotus Jinyuan. Their eyes brightened as they followed closely behind him. Several hundred meters. Several thousand meters. 10,000 meters. Although the speed at which the three of them traveled underground could not even reach the speed of sound, they were already more than 10,000 meters underground in just a few dozen breaths. Buzz. Wave after wave of tremors, the fog beasts charged into the ground, including the 500 beasts that had been chasing after Yi Chen. The tremors were very scattered. It was obvious that the dense fog beasts did not gather together to chase after him. Instead, they were in groups of 3 to 5, and hundreds of them were chasing after him. The situation was not optimistic. The mud is too dense. We cannot go down any further. When they had traveled 12,000 meters deep, Yi Chen's Jinyuan would be used up dozens of times more than usual for every dozens of meters. If they continued to go down, they would not know how much more pressure they would have to face. In the water, astral reaching realm warriors could only dive tens of thousands of meters deep, and extreme astral reaching realm warriors could only go 100,000 meters deep at most. The pressure underground was more than 10 times higher than the pressure in the water. Right now, it was already their limit. Let's find a safe place to rest first. Liu Mai suggested. Yi Chen nodded. It was the only way. Instead of going down in a straight line, the three moved horizontally. As for the traces they had left behind, they had already been filled up by the heavy pressure, leaving no trace behind. All of a sudden, a wave of mental power scanned through the three of them. Not good. We have been discovered. Yi Chen frowned. Beasts were just like human warriors. Once they reached a certain level, they would be able to use mental power scanning techniques. However, compared to humans, the beasts' techniques were much weaker, which made it easier for them to be discovered. Boom! The rocks underground had been shattered as 5 beasts rushed over, letting out a series of sharp roars that spread out in all directions. Kill! The beasts in front of them were not that scary. What was scary was being surrounded by other beasts. Yi Chen pushed his Jinyuan and waved out a sword attack with difficulty. Ka Lolo. A sword-shaped crack appeared on the ground, landing on the leading beast. However, that sword attack only managed to wound it badly. Under the ground, the attacking power had been weakened too much. The further the distance, the weaker the power. These 5 beasts were hundreds of meters away from the 3, but their attacking power had been reduced by 30%. It was impossible to kill them with one attack. Watch me. Grand Elder Chen held his silver light rapier as he spun his body. A cone-shaped light shot out, piercing through the leading beast's body. Bind. Compared to Yi Chen and Grand Elder Chen, since Liu Mai was using a whip art, her attacking power was almost negligible. However, she was very supportive. She shook her long whip, which was like a poisonous snake, moving around quickly and binding one of the beasts. Seizing the chance, Yi Chen performed his green lotus accumulation, which had the strongest penetrating power. A fist-sized green lotus pierced through the beast's forehead. Out of the 5 beasts, 2 had been killed within a second. Woo, the vibrating sound was heard, and the other beasts had received the message. Die. At this critical moment, Yi Chen did not have any intention of saving his power. He threw out a sword attack, and the sword light exploded. The surrounding soil was cut into pieces, and the blue sword light opened up a path, devouring the remaining 3 beasts. Blood splashed everywhere as the 3 beasts were all killed. So powerful. What kind of sword art is this? Grand Elder Chen could tell how powerful this attack was. The sword light's power went from strong to weak, and from weak to strong. The hundreds of meters distance seemed to have been ignored. Run. Under the ground, Yi Chen's spirit power could cover about 3 to 4 miles, so the beasts should not be as powerful as him. Besides, Yi Chen's soul power could cover 20 to 30 miles, which was his advantage, and would not be easily discovered. If they did not run now, it would be troublesome if they were surrounded. After traveling for a couple of miles, the second danger arrived. An extremely powerful spirit power scanned through the 3, and right after that, a burning white light column with a hint of purple appeared. Pooh! The 3 of them puked out blood as their protective Jin Yuan was completely shattered. It's the leader of the beasts. Grand Elder Chen had a dark look in his eyes. Yi Chen said, "No rush. It is still 2 miles away from us, and the light column's power is not that powerful. We just need to run, and it should not be able to catch up." Just like Yi Chen had expected, the beast's body was too huge, and its speed had decreased even more. Judging solely on speed, it was at least 2 times slower than any of the 3. After a couple of hours, there were no more spirit power scanning this place. Finally, we are safe. Liu Mai let out a breath, feeling that her body was completely empty. Her Zhan Yuan replenishment speed could not keep up with the consumption speed. If it dragged on for a while longer, no one knew what would happen. Yi Chen said, "Let's each open up a small space to recover our Zhan Yuan." "All right." The 2 nodded. It was not that easy to open up a space 10,000 meters under the ground. The bigger the space, the faster it would collapse, since the pressure from above would be unbelievably powerful. Eventually, Yi Chen managed to open up a space that could fit his body. It was less than 1 meter in width, which was perfect for sitting in. I have to break through to the late astral reaching realm as soon as possible. With that, my battling power would basically be equivalent to an astral reaching realm unbeatable warrior, and I would not have to be so embarrassed anymore. Right now, Yi Chen's cultivation was at the peak level of mid-astral reaching realm, and his battling power would be one of the top extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Any kind of breakthrough would be extremely rare. But in comparison, the cultivation breakthrough would be even easier, while the sword intent and mentality breakthrough would be too hard. Yi Chen did not know when he would be able to reach the 14th realm of his Green Lotus sword spell. Once he did, his battling power would be extremely powerful. Holding a mid-rank soul stone in each of his hands, Yi Chen went into training mode. Time passed bit by bit, and the beasts were still searching everywhere. Occasionally, there would be 1 or 2 groups of beasts that were a couple of miles away. However, the underground was too big, and the limitations were also huge. A slight mistake could lead to a huge error, which gave Yi Chen and the other 2 some time to rest. Woo! Not knowing how many days had passed, a wave of vibration spread out. "It is Grand Elder Yi. He has made a breakthrough." Grand Elder Chen and Liu Mai were both shocked. Yi Chen was already very powerful, and now that he had made another breakthrough, he would be even more powerful now. Perhaps it was the intense pressure that had stimulated Yi Chen's hidden potential. Right then, Yi Chen had indeed made a breakthrough. His cultivation had reached the late astral reaching realm, and the quality and quantity of his Jin Yuan had increased by 30%. In other words, judging only on the basic power, there were not many astral reaching realm warriors that could compete with him. The vibration created by the breakthrough had a wide range. A group of beasts nearby had sensed the disturbance and rushed over while roaring. Yi Chen opened his eyes. Perfect timing. Underground, the advantage of the beasts' numbers had been greatly limited. If it were on the ground, all Yi Chen could do was run away. He would not dare to fight head-on at all. Boom! The hole had been shattered, and Yi Chen stood up. He took out his greenwood sword with his right hand and threw out a sword attack. Swoosh! The soil had been shattered into sand all of a sudden. The sword light increased drastically, looking like a crescent moon as it sliced through the beasts' bodies. Blood spilled everywhere as 4 beasts were sliced into pieces. Killing 4 beasts with one sword attack. This is the power of an astral reaching realm warrior. Liu Mai opened her mouth wide, shocked beyond words. Grand Elder Chen was also shocked. It should be known that Yi Chen did not have a top-rank weapon on him, but he had the power of an astral reaching realm warrior. He was very clear about what it meant. War. Out of the 5 fog beasts, 4 were dead, and the last one was slightly injured. This fog beast was not an ordinary one, it was the leader of the fog beasts. It roared angrily as it opened its mouth and shot out a purple-white light column. Chin. Sparks flew everywhere, melting the soil nearby. Yi Chen backed out with his sword, easily blocking out the full power attack of the beast. Die. Stopping his backing out, Yi Chen held his sword with both of his hands and waved out another sword attack. This sword attack pierced through hundreds of meters deep into the ground. A beam of sword light shot out, cutting off half of the beast's body. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.